Welcome, you chilling truth seekers, to a special telling of tales today. We're not just discussing things, we're immersing ourselves in some really unsettling real-life horror stories, the kind you can imagine. These aren't just scary, they're terrifying because, well, they reveal a really dark side of human connection. What happens when, love turns into obsession and trust becomes a weapon?
Exactly. We'll be exploring 3 separate accounts today. They come from individuals who experienced this relentless, chilling pursuit from former partners. It's really about the violation of personal space, the erosion of safety, and just the sheer terror of knowing someone you once cared for is now this constant, unpredictable threat.
So if you're ready to hear what happens when a broken heart twists into something truly sinister, let's begin. Okay, her first story comes from a 20-year-old man. He's looking back on a high school relationship with a girl he calls Grace. And even before they actually started dating, he says the red flags were there. They were visible. Like Grace would spend hours, literally hours, at his workplace just watching him, staring intently.
Mm-hmm. Just watching.
Yeah. And as the relationship went on, it became, in his words, incredibly toxic. He felt completely smothered, suffocated. Like no time for friends, hobbies, not even for himself. Grace's need for control was just constant. Endless questions. Where was he? Who was he with? What was he doing? Like 204/7.
Yeah.
And if he missed a call, forget about it. Like 25 missed calls, a flood of texts.
Yeah.
And it always led to a fight. Even if he was just in the bathroom for 5 minutes, playing video games with friends. Totally out of the question.
That level of control is a huge warning sign. The isolation, the constant monitoring.
Right. So when he finally broke up with her, Grace was relentless, just wouldn't let go, trying to win him back. She'd wait outside his workplace, follow him to his car. Sometimes she'd literally block him from leaving, just pleading with him. Then one night, he was desperate to just end it, He agreed to talk to her, but in her car, big mistake. Now, Grace was also kind of attempting to sue him over something really petty, basically using it as a scare tactic.
Yeah.
So in the car, she's just repeating the same old arguments, nothing new. Then her father calls her phone, and she uses it like a chilling threat. She says, if you don't sit here and talk to me, I'll have him sue you now.
Wow. Using family? Using legal threats? It's pure manipulation.
Totally. So he tries to get out immediately, but the door is locked. He's fumbling with the lock, and Grace just grabs his arm, digs her nails right into his skin. He said he was genuinely shocked. She'd always been verbally abusive, sure, but never physical like this. And the look on her face, he said it was just pure malice. Even though he was taller, stronger, she held on incredibly tight. He actually had to pull her towards him onto the passenger seat just to break her grip. Then he scrambled out, got to his car, and drove home faster than he ever had before.
And that's a terrifying escalation, isn't it? Moving from that emotional manipulation, the verbal stuff, to outright physical assault. It shows such a profound lack of boundaries, a willingness to actually inflict physical harm when words fail.
Yeah, but it didn't end there, not even close, because Grace lived just a few blocks away. So later that same night, he's home, trying to relax, playing video games. He hears a car outside, then taps on his window. At first he dismisses it, maybe it's a branch or something, but then another tap, and a female voice saying his name. It was Grace.
Oh no, right outside his window.
Yeah. And he knew her blinds weren't great, so she could probably see him inside. He just pretended not to hear, hoping, praying she'd just leave. But after a minute or two, she starts banging on the window, harder, and her tone completely changes. It goes from soft, maybe apologetic, to aggressive, angry. She starts yelling, "You can't do this to me, you're an asshole," stuff like that. So in a moment, he says he really regrets now. He opened the door. He just asked her, why couldn't you just leave him alone? Her tone softens again instantly, asks if she can have her sweater back. He just yelled at her then, told her to get off his property or he's calling the police.
Setting a boundary, finally.
Yes, but then she just exploded.
Yeah.
Screaming, sobbing, completely uncontrollably, and then his heart just dropped. Because to the left of her, peeking out from behind this thick tree in his front yard, was a hooded figure. Grace saw him look. She knew he saw them, and she grabbed his arm again. At the same time, the figure starts sprinting towards his window.
Oh my God, an accomplice.
Yeah. His fight or flight just kicked in instantly. He slammed the window shut right on Grace's arm. She screamed in pain, pulled back. He managed to lock the window just split seconds before the other person reached it. His heart was pounding. He couldn't breathe. He held up his phone, showing them he was dialing 911. And they just immediately scrambled back to her car and sped off.
The sudden appearance of that second person, it just adds such a chilling layer. It raises the stakes completely. It's not just a personal vendetta anymore. It's something potentially far more dangerous, possibly involving harm beyond just, emotional torment.
An officer did come, took his story. But like often happens, there wasn't much they could really do without more evidence. As far as he knows, Grace never faced any legal action. He really believes she might have had darker intentions. He'd heard rumors she'd gotten people jumped, robbed before. He considers himself incredibly lucky, really, that the person hiding decided to peek out when they did. Gave him that tiny warning. Okay, let's move to our next account. This one comes from Amy. She says she hasn't slept much since this incident. It just made her feel unsafe, even closing her eyes. She'd broken up with her boyfriend Tommy about 3 weeks earlier. They dated for just under a year. He started out sweet, very attentive, but it quickly turned possessive.
A common pattern, unfortunately. That initial charm turning sour.
Exactly. Tommy would get upset if Amy took, what he considered too long to reply to texts. He'd ask these strange questions like, who did you smile at today? Or, did you see any guys looking at you? He even started showing up at her job unannounced, just standing outside, or at bars if she was out with friends, basically forcing her to come home. Her friends, understandably, started to really despise him.
Yeah, isolating the target from their support system is a key tactic.
The final straw, she said, was when he suggested she put a literal tracker on her phone. His reasoning: to keep each other safe. She ended it right then and there. He cried at first, but then just went completely silent. Amy blocked his number, tried to move on, but about a week later, these strange messages started coming in. Random numbers. Short, vague sentences, no context. She blocked each one, just figured it was spam.
But it wasn't spam.
No. Things escalated beyond texts. One night, Amy heard this soft noise from downstairs, in her foyer. She tried to convince herself it was just the radiator, but she knew her apartment sounds, and this was new, different. Then another night, around 2 a.m., she swears she heard a door inside her apartment open. From outside her bedroom, her heart was racing. She texted her family group chat, but everyone was asleep.
They're subtle auditory things. They're particularly insidious, aren't they? Because they make you question yourself, your sanity. Before there's any real proof, it just chips away at your sense of security.
Totally. So that weekend, she went to her sister's. When she came back, she immediately felt something was off. Nothing was missing, nothing broken. But all the doors inside her apartment, which she always left closed or almost closed, were wide open. And there was no draft, no reason for it. Her stomach just dropped when she saw her hallway closet, always kept shut, was slightly ajar.
Chilling. Someone had definitely been inside.
Yeah. So that night, she pushed a chair under her bedroom doorknob, kept her bedside lamp on, slept with a knife under her pillow. At some point, she must have dozed off. She woke up to a soft, shuffling sound. The lamp was off. The room was dark, and her bedroom door was wide open, despite the chair. And she saw a black mass at the foot of her bed.
Oh, God.
As her eyes adjusted, as she started to comprehend what she was seeing, it was the top half of someone's head looking over the footboard. Then she felt two hands begin to caress her feet. She just screamed as though she had no air left, and she instantly recognized the voice telling her to calm down. It was Tommy. He got on top of her, put his hand over her mouth.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
He kept telling her he wasn't there to hurt her, just to talk. So he wouldn't let go until she agreed to be quiet. She just nodded, terrified. She managed to ask how he got in. And he just calmly, so calmly, said he'd made a copy of her key when they were together, his excuse. Just in case there was ever an emergency. He never told her he'd done it. She figures he must have snuck her keys out overnight sometime to get it copied.
That is deeply disturbing. That premeditation, making a copy just in case. It's such a terrifying example of how an abuser can weaponize seemingly normal things. A spare key becomes a tool for control, for violation. And his calmness, while doing something so horrific, it just magnifies the terror, shows a complete disconnect.
Amy considered grabbing the knife under her pillow, but she was just too scared. Frozen. Tommy kept saying he just wanted to talk, but she felt his real goal was to scare her into getting back with him. So, terrified of what else he might do, she said yes, she'd get back with him. She asked him to please leave for the night, said she was shaken up. He actually stayed in her bed for about half an hour before he finally left.
Unbelievable, the audacity.
The second he was gone, she called the police. Reported a break-in. Said he might still be on the premises just to make sure they came quickly. She filed an official report. Later used that to get a restraining order. A detective eventually traced those weird fake numbers back to Tommy's actual cell phone, which helped her case too. Amy stayed with her parents until she could find a completely new apartment. Her advice now: at the first sign of, well, she calls it mental illness, but that kind of extreme possessiveness, consider getting away ASAP. She says she still lives with the trauma, waking up to him there, and the chilling thought that she might have had to use that knife. Our final story tonight details a really unrelenting pursuit. This one from a woman named Marissa. The person telling the story dated her for about a year and a half. Initially, Marissa was intensely passionate, charismatic, drew him in with gifts, poems, constant goodnight texts, that kind of thing.
The love bombing phase.
Right. But that intensity, it had a really dark side. He said she just couldn't do calm. Everything was either absolutely perfect or a total catastrophe, no middle ground. If he was, say, 5 minutes late replying to a text, she'd send this stream of messages. First worried, then angry, then suddenly apologizing profusely. She once accused him of cheating because he liked an old Instagram post from some girl he hadn't even spoken to since high school. And if he tried to tell her something made him uncomfortable, she'd just completely shut down. Sit in his apartment for hours, literally staring at the wall, refusing to leave, until he basically took it back and reassured her everything was fine.
That's extreme emotional manipulation, the silent treatment, the guilt trips.
Yeah. And about 6 months in, she started showing up at his office, unannounced. First time, it was with coffee, acting all cute. The second time, it was because he hadn't answered her call right away. She just sat crying in her parked car outside until he came down. He told her, look, this isn't okay. And she just smiled and asked, you do the same for me, right? He admits he made excuses for her behavior back then. Hoped if he just proved he wouldn't leave, she'd eventually calm down. But instead, the more he gave, the more she demanded.
That's often how it works. Giving in just reinforces the behavior.
So he finally reached his limit. He ended it. Marissa didn't yell, didn't cry. She just stared at him in complete silence for minutes. Then she just nodded and said in this chillingly cold tone, you think it's over for you, but it's not over for me. He said it didn't even feel like a threat. It felt like she was stating a fact.
That statement is particularly chilling. It's not over for me. It reveals such a profound, dangerous psychological state, a complete denial of the breakup, an absolute belief that they still have some kind of claim over the other person. It denies their autonomy completely.
Yeah. So that night, he blocked her on everything, changed his number, even asked his building manager if he could move to a different unit. For a few weeks, he actually thought maybe it had worked. Silence. Then the letters started showing up. No stamps, no return addresses, just his name handwritten on an envelope tucked between his door and the frame.
Hand-delivered. She knew where he lived, even in the new unit.
Exactly. The first letter was kind of nostalgic, reminiscing. The second one was stranger. It said, you always check the door 3 times before you go to bed. You probably don't even notice it, but I do.
Nah.
That immediately told him she was watching him, watching his habits.
What?
But the third letter, that was the one that made him pack a suitcase right then. It said, you wore your blue hoodie Monday, the one with the hole in the sleeve. You should sew that up before it gets worse.
Yeah.
He had worn that specific hoodie to a grocery store way across town in pouring rain. He was certain he hadn't seen anyone he knew, but she had seen him.
The level of observation is terrifying, knowing such specific mundane details.
He realized just moving across the city wasn't going to be enough. Not nearly enough. He found a good job offer in Denver. Didn't tell anyone except his brother, immediate family. Left no forwarding address. Created a new email, went completely dark online. Even got a P.O. box under a false name.
Taking extreme measures to disappear.
For many months, it seemed to work. He actually slept soundly again. Started dating. Felt like himself. Then he opened his P.O. box, and there was an envelope with just his name on it. Inside was a Polaroid photo of him walking near his new apartment building in Denver, taken from behind, and on the back, written in red ink, your shoulders slouch when you're tired.
Across states. Found him again. The persistence is extraordinary and terrifying. That level of dedication, tracking someone despite such elaborate attempts to disappear, it really points to a severe obsession, maybe even delusional thinking. They fixate on these tiny details, the hoodie, the posture, as proof of this connection that only exists in their head.
He didn't even hesitate this time. Moved again, immediately. Faster. Paid cash for a rental in a totally different part of town. Got a big dog, a German Shepherd mix rescue.
Yeah.
Deleted almost everything online. Went completely gray, as he put it, for almost a full year. Heard nothing. Finally allowed himself to believe maybe she was gone.
You hope after all that it's finally over.
Until one evening, he'd just walked his dog. He found a yellow Post-it note stuck to his front door. Red ink again. And it just said, I don't like the beard. He had grown a beard out maybe 3 months prior. Only his dog and his webcam, which he kept taped over, had really seen it. He shaved it off that night, freaked out. The next morning, another note, tucked under his windshield wiper. Better.
Oh, that's just horrifying. The level of intrusion. She's close again, watching, commenting.
He contacted the police again, but same story. Without direct threats, without property damage, their hands were tied. Couldn't get a restraining order without proof she'd actually been near him, which he didn't have other than the notes.
And that's the frustrating reality for so many victims, isn't it? The law often struggles with things that are psychologically terrifying but don't fit neatly into threat or damage. It leaves people feeling completely unprotected.
Exactly. So he changed all his habits again, paid attention to every little detail. Sleep became impossible. About 2 weeks passed with nothing. He started to wonder, maybe the notes were old, maybe left earlier. The one night, he woke up with this horrible feeling, like someone had just been in the room watching him and had just stepped out. He checked everywhere, found nothing. But the next morning, taped perfectly to his front door, was a small envelope. Inside, an old photo of him and Marissa from one of those boardwalk photo booths, smiling, her head on his shoulder. But her eyes in the photo, they'd been scratched out, gouged out deeply, like with a needle or a pin.
That's symbolically violent, a very disturbing escalation.
He moved again, not just across town this time, out of the city completely. Found a small cabin 3 hours away, deep in the mountains, really isolated, only one road in. Paid cash, fake name on the lease, burner phone, worked remotely on a secure company laptop. Only his immediate family and his one best friend knew where he was. And for a whole month, silence. It finally seemed like it worked.
You hold your breath listening to this.
Until he heard footsteps outside, crunching in the snow. His dog went absolutely ballistic. The next morning, he went out. Shoe marks, leading from window to window around the cabin. No notes this time. Nothing left behind, just the tracks. He could only assume it was her.
Found him again. Even there.
He spent that entire day packing, drove straight back to his hometown. Today, he says he lives in a house with 3 roommates, all military guys. Their pickup trucks, purple heart plates, giant flags. He says they serve as a clear deterrent, he hopes. He describes Marissa as just a mentally unstable stalker, a danger to herself, to him, to anyone she gets involved with, and he desperately, desperately wishes law enforcement could do more before something truly horrific happens. Wow. These stories, they just paint such a stark picture, don't they? How fast a relationship can turn into this terrifying ordeal, shattering your whole sense of safety, your privacy in the most intimate ways.
Absolutely. And the common thread in all these accounts is that relentless, escalating nature of the pursuit. It highlights the devastating impact of unchecked obsession and the profound sense of helplessness survivors feel when the law struggles to step in without that concrete proof of harm.
It really leaves you with a chilling question, doesn't it? When someone believes they have this unending claim on your life, what does it actually take to escape? And how do you ever fully rebuild that sense of security again? If these tales chilled you to the bone, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We bring you more terrifying true stories like these. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey. Stay safe out there.